The world of Jujutsu Kaisen is filled with powerful cursed techniques, each providing jujutsu sorcerers with the power to take on nasty cursed spirits or rival curse users. So far, the series has explored inherited techniques, such as the Gojo family's Limitless, the Zenin family's Ten Shadows technique, or the Inumaki family's Cursed Speech, to techniques like Nobara Kugisaki's Straw Doll technique or Suguru Gedo's Cursed Spirit manipulation in great detail. In particular, the Limitless and Cursed Spirit manipulation were both delved into during the start of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, which turned the clock back to Satoru Gojo's days at Tokyo Jujutsu High. Another technique that has received a great deal of screen time in the series so far belongs to none other than the Grade 1 sorcerer Kento Nanami, a former underclassman to Satoru Gojo at Tokyo Jujutsu High. Known as the Ratio technique, it is unique to Nanami and allows him to deal devastating amounts of damage to powerful curses by striking at their critical points. So, what is the Ratio technique? When used by Nanami, the Ratio technique allows him to divide a target into tenths. If you hit the target at the exact spot when the ratio equals 7.3, they will be able to deliver a critical hit. This is the meaning of the ratio in the technique's name, as the 7.3 point is essentially the target's weakest spot. In combat, Nanami generally makes use of his sword, which is wrapped in a cloth that has black spots. The sword itself is quite short and ends in a wooden grip that Nanami only swings with one hand. Besides this, Nanami's tie also has a similar pattern, and he often wraps it around his fists to activate the technique. Nanami has mastered this method, defeating curses far larger and more physically powerful than himself. While the technique's basic premise is simple, its applications are extremely broad, which is how Nanami was able to achieve the position of Grade 1 sorcerer. For instance, this technique allows him to cause massive amounts of damage to much stronger opponents without having to use as much power as would be necessary without it. He can even use this on isolated segments of an opponent's body instead of their entire body, which can paralyze the body. Nanami can also use the technique to completely slice weaker opponents into two with only a single hit, and can even apply the technique to inanimate objects. But how does Nanami apply the technique? The Ratio technique, which bypasses the opponent's own strength and durability, is a terrifying proposition for any opponent to face when combined with Nanami's superhuman strength, speed, durability, tactical intellect, and problem-solving abilities. The main reason he is so successful against cursed spirits and curse users of all grades is his exceptional swordsmanship, combined with his capacity to support his attacks with his high cursed energy to target the critical hit function of the Ratio technique, as shown in his battles against Dagon and Haruta Shigemo. With his sword, he can easily cut through and destroy high-level curses, because the technique may do critical damage at the 7.3 ratio point. Even special grade curses would struggle against the likes of Nanami due to his mastery over the technique. This could be seen in his fight against Mahito, where he was able to cut through the cursed spirit's arm, despite it being reinforced with cursed energy. Although Nanami was at a disadvantage to Mahito's idol transfiguration, he was able to hold his ground quite well, and it was only the activation of Mahito's domain expansion that had him in real trouble. In addition, Nanami can use the technique alongside his binding vow overtime, which enhances his cursed energy output to 110% to 120% of its base value after his normal working hours for Jujutsu High come to an end, which we have seen in the Shibuya incident arc. This is quite in line with his pragmatic and indifferent outlook towards his work. Nanami has also made another binding vow with himself, which permits him to maximize the cursed energy output of an attack. Revealing one's hand is a common binding vow used by many Jujutsu sorcerers, where they explain their curse to their opponent is as powerful as possible. Activating his binding vows allows Nanami to perform the extension of his Ratio technique, Collapse, where he can create a critical point in his environment. Striking this point results in the entire area disintegrating, as seen in how he used it to destroy the underground tunnel where he was fighting Mahito, to bury the cursed spirit amid all the rubble and debris produced from its destruction. Mahito was so impressed by Nanami's abilities that he began to call him the 7-3 sorcerer after this encounter. Overall, Nanami's technique is a bit complicated to understand, but it is powerful technique. Anyways, this is the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.